everybody. Welcome. And when you know it, right when we go live, here's Jack wanting to photobomb on me. Welcome to the CNC with Dave show. We've got cast of characters here tonight. We've got Mr. Javi from Javi's Wood Shop on YouTube, just like the banner says. We've got Mr. Jim Senecola up in frigid Michigan. And we've also got Mr. Michael Murray from Mitre Mike's Wood Shop. So welcome, guys. Thanks for joining me tonight. We're going to be doing just a little Q&A. I've got quite a few questions. I keep getting people wanting to ask me CNC questions during my coffee sessions. And I'm sorry if I ignore you, but I'm not in CNC mode when I'm doing that. I'm drinking my coffee, getting woke up, and hanging with some good people on there. So let's see who we got here. Avi, you want to do the roll call as I post them up here?
Absolutely. Let's see. We have Bart Bixel. Oh wait, you want them in order or?
It don't matter. I mean,
all right. Let's see. We got Bart Bixel, Charles Steed, Dave Kraus, Del Ludlam, Edward Henry, Glenn Helwig, Greg Euler, Jason Pulliam, Jeff Nerkorn, Jerry Bonifield, Jerry Brown, Kevin Harder, Leroy CNC Woodworks, Mark Lindsay, Mike Haichu, Ryan Ballard, Thomas Grin, Tim Deline, Greg Musgrove, obviously our cast of characters here. I think I got everybody on Facebook and, well, at least the ones that have been commenting. I know there's a few.
Okay. All right.
Dave Mitchell came in, et cetera, et cetera.
We got a pretty good little crowd over there.
Yep.
Greg Musgrove in the house. How you doing, Greg? Jerry Bonifield. 84 degrees. Okay. Rub it in. Yeah, good crowd over there tonight. Before we get started taking questions, if you want, you can go ahead and put them in the chat there, because it'll be a minute before we get to them anyway. And, you know, with the lag with YouTube and Facebook, it also takes a minute for them to show up over here. But I did want to remind everybody once again that, you know, we're starting to get close now. Today's the 9th of November. And let's see, I'm trying to do this without my glasses on. So just a reminder about the Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge. It's coming up. Officially starts on Black Friday, which this year is November 29th.
20 days away.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know.
I thought you were going to say it starts on Friday.
Well, yeah, it does kind of, but yeah, so just want to remind everybody of that. You can go ahead and start and do your project and your video and stuff now. Just, you know, it officially starts Black Friday. And I want to thank the good folks over there at Klingspor Woodworking Shop. They are getting on board to sponsor some stuff. So thank you very much, especially to Mike Ziegler for helping me out there. And also Rockler Woodworking is going to be donating something. So I've got a bunch of other letters, emails out. So hopefully we'll get some more to come on board. But if not, I will make it worth your while to do a project. You know I will. So anyway, just want to remind everybody you got, and I also want to remind everybody too that because I know some folks get confused. They think you got to have a Gatton CNC in order to enter the challenge. It's called the Gatton CNC Challenge because I created the challenge, not because you got to have a Gatton CNC. You can do it with any CNC. And you can also use a 3D printer and a laser, CNC laser as well. So any of those three things will work for your project. And if you're not, you know, all this is on the website, by the way. When you go to the DaveGatton.com website, right on the main page, there's a big red button that says challenge. You can click that and it'll take you to the page where you would enter your, submit your video and stuff like that, and has the rules of the challenge and a list of the sponsors and all that good stuff. But it says over there, and I want to make sure everybody knows that it's not about how fancy a video you create. You can use your cell phone, just whatever you got to shoot a little video. It's not about the quality of the video. It's about the quality of the project. And of course, it needs to be a Christmas themed project, hence the name Christmas Challenge. So, all right.
We got a quick question. Plasma, does that count since it is CNC?
If it's a CNC, yes. I don't know a whole lot of people that have those, so that's why I don't mention that. But yeah, as long as it's a CNC machine, either a router, plasma, 3D printer, laser, you can enter your project. Just make sure if you're using a plasma that you're showing the plasma cutting it out. So yeah, that would be okay. Let's see. I don't see any other questions out there. Seems like there was something else I was going to mention. Just one other quick thing. A lot of you already know this, but I've got a new website. The DaveGatton.com website is fairly new. I've switched over from what I was using to something a little better, and it's still a work in progress. I'm updating things as I get time, and I know a lot of people. I put the map is back. Anybody that wants to be added to the map. And I get this sometimes where people will just put on Facebook, they'll say, "Hey, Dave, I don't see me on the map. Put me on the map." Well, because of, people are kind of picky about privacy, and even I'm picky about it. So I'm not going to automatically go through my customer list and throw people on the map. If you want to be added to the map, you need to go to the website, go to the Gattoneers Club page, and fill out the form. And that's to me, that's kind of like a permission slip saying, "Hey, I'm okay with you putting my name and city and state on that map. Otherwise, I won't put you on there."
We have a question from Ryan Ballard about your.
We're not taking any of his questions.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm just kidding.
In that case,
I'm just messing with you, Ryan.
He's asking if, with your cheap laser, are you using a computer power brick or a traditional power supply?
What am I using?
Yep. What type of power supply, basically?
I'm using I'm trying to think. I think it's a 12 volt. I want to say it's 12 volt. I hope that's what it is. Or maybe it's 5 volt.
I used the 12 volt.
Is it 12, Jim? I can't remember. Anyway, I just used one I had laying around that came out of one of those kiosk things. So that's what I'm using. And I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head the specs. It's at first I started using one just like the JTech that I had. I had an extra one of those, and it was is it 12 volt? Is that what it is, Jim? Okay.
Yeah, I bought the brick that was sold with the Ox laser. It's a 12 volt 4 amp.
Okay. Well, I started out using the one that was 12 volt, but it was only like something milliamp or whatever. And then I switched it out, and now I'm using one that's 12 volt, I think 3.5 amp or something like that. But it's just one I had laying around from, when I gutted some of those kiosks, that kiosk that I have out there. So, all right. Any other questions? I guess we'll go ahead and get into the questions.
Edward Henry is asking if there's anyone near Springfield, Montana or is that Missouri? Montana, I think.
I think MO's Missouri, I think.
Missouri. Or is it Missouri? No, Mississippi's MS. Why did they go to 2? Oh, well.
I know.
With a Gatton CNC.
I think Mo is
Emo's Missouri.
okay. That's what I thought. You'd have to. I mean, that's what the map's for. You'd have to go to the map and look. And again, I've only been doing the map for maybe a couple of weeks now, so there's very well likely somebody in that area, but they may or may not be on the map. Because, like I said, I'm not just throwing people on that map. They have to tell me they want to be on the map before I'm putting them on there. So, okay.
Jason Pulliam said he's in Missouri. I mean, in St. Louis. So that'll be pretty close, I guess.
Okay. Is Jason on the map? Did he say he was on the map?
Don't know, but he said he's in St. Louis.
Okay.
I'm assuming he has a Gatton. But, what is the latest setup for electronics? Currently, Steppers Online is still the leader on best cost. Jerry is asking.
Jerry, I'm glad you brought up that question because that's one thing I was going to talk about tonight. It wasn't Jerry, but somebody else sent me an email today and was asking me kind of that same thing, like if there's a wiring diagram, or for that outfit, the Stepper on lines. That currently is, if anybody asks me, that's what I recommend, to use that 4-axis kit with the 4 BM 542T drivers. I think it comes with 2 power supplies. That's the kit I'm pretty much recommending now. There's some others you can shop around on eBay. Some folks like to shop eBay. I don't, but some folks do. But the reason I'm glad he asked that is I've started something today, and I hope I'm kind of going to take tomorrow. I've been busy running up a bunch of Gatton kits and stuff the past couple of days, but I'm going to take tomorrow and try to wrap this little project up. But I am making a 3D model of a whole control board. In other words, it's going to be like, how like mine out there on my machine, it's like just all of it's mounted on a piece of plywood. It has 4 of these. It has a couple of power supplies. It has a bunch of, a couple of little terminal blocks. So what I want to do is I want to do not just a wiring diagram, but I want to do a 3D model of the wires. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure you can still get what's called a 3D viewer. In other words, if somebody sends you a 3D model, like SolidWorks or Fusion 360 or anything like that, you can get a free viewer. You can't manipulate anything, but you can view the file. But when you get a 3D viewer, you can zoom in and you can spin it around. You can, so it'll be almost like having the board right in front of you, and you'll be able to see exactly where all the wires go to and all that. So my plan is to try to get that finished up tomorrow. There'll probably be a video coming out within a few days too about that. But yeah, I figured instead of just trying to do just a regular old wiring diagram, I would rather model everything up, and you'd be able to, get a free viewer and go to, or, I may even put it up on the website if I can embed all that on the website, where you could go there and spin that around and all that. So,
what I would love to see, but it's a lot of work and probably work for nothing. It's too much work for the average person. But if anybody out there has this, posted on the of a Gatton CNC, posted on the Facebook page, I would love to see your electronic setup mounted on a board with the actual board carved out with all the wires and the wiring diagram and where all the wires go and the components. I think that would be pretty cool. Kind of like those OCD people that have a wall with tools with the shape of every single tool. Well, I kind of like to see that for the wiring diagram. I think that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
We have another question here from Tim DeLine. Let's see. I had it here a second ago. I just lost it.
Who are we looking for, Tim?
Tim DeLine.
Yeah, that's the trouble. Okay, here's one. Is this it? I want to make my own cardboard shooting targets with my CNC. Has anyone used a marker to draw with a CNC? Which marker keeps a better ink flow? Mr. Senicola wants to take that one.
Yeah, I built my own Sharpie pen holder out of wood.
And there were questions on that as well from Jerry Brown. So if you could address
and
that.
it works good. I posted on there, and I can put another little thing up on it. It's really easy to build, and you can get the parts at Lowe's or Home Depot. Take you about an hour to do it. It holds regular Sharpies, jumbo Sharpies, pencils, whatever you want. It's kind of like a drag knife. It just moves around. It's quiet. You don't run your spindle.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, Mark says there's a few. There are free viewers for Fusion 360 files. I just haven't got one downloaded in a long time because I don't need one. But I know there's. Back when I was working in the sheet metal stuff, we used to have customers, and if we dealt in SolidWorks and any kind of 2D file like a DXF or DWG and stuff like that. But if we had a customer or client that would send us something that's something we didn't have, we would a lot of times we couldn't even open it. We'd have to get one of those viewers that handled all different kinds of file formats, so you could look at it and spin it around and see basically mostly for quoting purposes. But I knew there were some free ones out there. Let's see what else we got here. I think the 48 by 48 Garage Works can hold the weight of a water cooled spindle. It's not recommended, but yeah, it probably can. So, it's not designed to hold anything that heavy.
Unlike the Gatton, which can hold a 260-pound Hobby or a 200-pound Gatton or 180, whatever you weigh.
Yeah, that you can't let that plywood fool you. The way it's designed and built, if you build it correctly, it'll hold a lot more than the Garage Works will. Jerry Brown says, we did the math and a 1.5 spindle is comparable to a router. Water cooled, maybe. Yeah, as far as the weight. I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
I think it was 17 pounds is what we did. We did a show on that one time where you were measuring the weights of different of the different spindles and routers.
Yeah, I should probably get that out and do it again, because I had, back then I was using an old bathroom scale, but I have since purchased a postal scale that's a lot more accurate. So we'll have to In fact, if I'd known that, I could have brought, the router, all the different routers I have, and I have a spare spindle as well. I could have brought that, and we could have. Yes, Jerry says, yeah, weight wise. Well, you're saying it's comparable to a router, but what size router? Because see, the GarageWorks is designed around the compact router, which
is a lot lighter,
which doesn't weigh much anything. It's a lot lighter than a full size router, like a Porter Cable 690 or 890 or whatever. So, Edward says he's hoping to get. Whoops! Every time I go to click on a thing, if it jumps right then, I miss it. So I'm hoping to get a spindle for the Gatton routers too loud. But just remember, Edward, that they all make noise when they're cutting. It's only quieter while it's up in the air. So
yeah,
they're not that much quieter when they're cutting.
Although I must say the water cooled ones, from what I've seen, being that they are denser and the water is absorbing the vibrations a bit better, tends to be less, have less vibrations and therefore less noise. But I will say that the quarter-inch bits make practically more than double the noise of the half-inch bits. The half-inch bits are very quiet. I highly recommend the bigger bits if you can.
Yeah. Mark Lindsay, CNC, he says his Porter Cable 890 weighs 11 pounds. If I could get you to do me a favor, Mark, go to either Amazon or Google or something and look up a DeWalt 611 and see if you can find the weight of that. But I'm pretty sure they're way less than 11 pounds.
5.5.
5.5. Yeah, so they're about half or so. All righty. Yeah, I don't know. I hate to disappoint people, but and if you want to buy a GarageWorks and put a full size spindle or a big old 2.2 water cooled spindle on it, it's your DIY kit. You can put whatever you want on it. But I keep telling folks it's designed for a much lighter compact router like the DeWalt 611 or a Porter Cable 450 or Bosch, something similar, So
the air-cooled spindle, the 1500 watt air-cooled spindle weighs 15.15 pounds. I'm referring to the My Sweetie variety. I know there's a lot of brands, but on average, and the one I have, the 2.2 kilowatt spindle, water cooled, weighs 24 pounds, and that's without the water in it. That's just the so I'd probably put it at upwards of close to 30 pounds, maybe 26, 30, 28, 30 pounds.
Yeah, they're pretty heavy.
With the water and the hose.
I could turn my camera off here and walk out there and get that spindle. I know exactly where it's at. If y'all want to really see how heavy that one is, I'll go get it. We can weigh it right here with my my postal scale. So let me do that. Y'all, Javi, you keep going through the questions here, and I'll bug out here and
there you go.
If I can figure out how to do this.
Yep.
Why is that? The GarageWorks gantry is thinner? Is that?
Well, the thing is the way the GarageWorks was specifically designed for the lighter it's a smaller Z box, if you will, and I don't want to say it's thin sheet metal because it's pretty thick, but you compare the I forgot what gauge sheet metal, Dave can tell you, compared to 3/4 inch plywood, building an entire box screwed and glued together that can hold, I mean, that plywood, I've stood not just on the gantry, but I've stood on the Z box. So, I mean, which I wouldn't recommend, because the only thing holding my 260 pounds were those 4 or 6 little V-groove bearings. So I wouldn't do it for so long. I just stepped on it and stepped off. But the gantry itself easily held my weight without an issue.
Well, it's a torsion box.
It's a torsion box. It's exactly a torsion box. And no offense to the people that have redesigned an already good design, but I've seen some videos where some people goes, well, it needs more ribs, and they put more ribs on it. It does not need any more ribs. Mine is designed as designed by Dave originally, and I'm telling you, mine is 84 inches long, and it held my weight dead center without bending. I mean, I could probably put a caliper on it, and it'll probably, maybe thousandths of an inch, but if that. But
yeah, Mark summed it up just perfectly here. It was designed. The reason I came up with the GarageWorks is because the Inventables was giving those X cars out left and right, and I saw what a weak machine they were. So I was trying to keep with the same type of router spindle type thing, but yet a stronger frame. So that's why it's only it's only meant to hold like a compact router. Can you put a full size router on it? Sure you can, but I don't recommend it. All right, went out and got this thing, and I got to use 2 hands to hold this thing up. But it's also got the aluminum mount, but we might as well weigh that too, because you're going to have that on the front of the thing as well. I've got my, I know you guys can't see it here, but I got my postal scale zeroed out here.
Is that the 2.2?
The water?
Yeah, this is the 2.2.
Somewhere between 17 and 26.
Well, it's really less than what I thought it was going to be. Now, this one probably has most of the water. It's not dripping water or anything, so it's probably got most of the water out of it. But according to my United States Postal Service scale here, it weighs 14 pounds, 2.3 ounces. And that's with the aluminum mount. Of course, the aluminum mount is pretty light, but
and that's less than the stated weight of 24, which was on their website.
But well, I don't know how much. I wouldn't think the water would add a whole lot, because
I want to say that when you weighed it with the water in the tubes, it was I seem to remember that 17-pound number. And I want to say it's 17 pounds, because I remember that video of yours and you weighed it.
I remember that was with a bathroom scale.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But even if it's 14 pounds, that's still way heavier than what the GarageWorks was designed for, which was the point I was trying to get across.
Edward Henry's asking, so a 1.5 or 2.2 is not recommended for the? Yes, they are recommended for the Gatton. The Gatton can handle any router you put on it, pretty much.
Yeah, we're talking about the GarageWorks, which is the steel frame. It is not designed for that big of a spindle.
The GarageWorks is the orange, pretty much kit that comes almost completely. All the parts come with it, as opposed to the Gatton, which is a DIY plywood. And much stronger kit. Yeah.
He says it's 14-pound weight without water, collet, bit, or hoses. None of that other stuff's going to add a whole lot, but all of it adds up. But 14 pounds or over 14 pounds that's heavy.
Yeah,
it's heavy. Yeah, water weighs 8 pounds to the gallon, but it don't take near a gallon. There's not that much water running through it at any given time.
7.8 pounds, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I always ran off 8 pounds, but yeah. All right. Did I miss any other questions? Like, because I wasn't watching. I know you can see them all over there, Hobby.
I've been looking, and let's see. Inventables announced they're doing away with the 500 and 750X cars. Let's see.
Yeah. I didn't know that. That's interesting that they're doing away with those little ones. But I can see why, because originally when I did the GarageWorks machine, I started out small and worked bigger. I started out with what I called the 24 by 18. Did it first, then switched, then built one a little bigger, which I call the 36 by 24. Then went a little bigger to the one I call the 48 by 48. And, I bet I haven't even sold 5 of the little bitty ones, the 24 by 18, the whole time I've been selling them. And not a whole lot of the 36 by 24. I've sold a few of those, but everybody always wants the biggest thing they can get.
Yeah.
And I can see why Inventables is probably having the same problem. Everybody wants the big one, but I bet you in the case of the Inventables, because the X car, because I know how they're made. I used to have one, so I know exactly how they're made. That probably the smaller ones would be better, because with the longer one, you've got that longer,
a lot more flex.
There's a lot more flex in them. So,
a little plug for Mark Lindsay here. His video tomorrow morning is his 2-year review of his Gatton CNC, and he does talk about the strength and such as he was posting here.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
That's funny. That means I've had mine for a year. I didn't even realize that.
8.34 pounds. Is that distilled water or salt water? Dave Portal. Let me.
Well, now we're gonna get into a big debate.
I'm forgetting all. I'm forgetting all my.
I'm gonna settle this debate right now. It's about 8 pounds, and we're gonna leave it because I don't give a flip.
Actually, as an engineer, I should estimate it to 8 pounds and let the mathematicians worry about it. But
yeah.
You're supposed to use distilled water with that?
No, actually, but you could put a little glycerol in it.
Because I haven't hooked mine up yet, because I haven't run the 220 in the shop, so I'm still using a 690. But,
no, but you just the big thing about it is you could use a little glycerol or antifreeze if you're in cold climates. But remember, depending on the room temperature that you have, particularly if it's in warm temperatures, you're going to be getting algae in the water, and that's going to be clogging everything up. And the cleaner you can have the water, and the cleaner the clearer. Don't put bleach in it, because that's going to ruin the internal tank of the spindle. I mean, bleach doesn't react well with certain metals, although it might be coated. I don't know, but
from what I read, just go down to your local auto parts store and get you some RV antifreeze. You put a little of that in there.
Yep.
And you be good. Any other questions? Man, it's quiet out there tonight. I don't even see it scrolling anymore.
We've answered all the questions.
Oh, Steve's got a good tip here. He says, "Don't run water to the 690. Makes a lot of spark."
Yeah, no.
And Mark Lindsay wants to know what is the snack of the day, Jim Sinicola? Popcorn. Yeah, buddy. He knew it was going to be a great show. He made popcorn.
I love these waffle cut Cape Cod chips. Oh, they're the crunchiest chips I have ever tasted. But
I stole the kids' candy.
Halloween.
Yeah.
A bottle of water. That's all I got. I thought I would mention too. If you look down in if you're watching on YouTube, I guess I don't see anybody on Facebook over here. It says we got 5 watching, but I don't see nobody's commenting if they're on Facebook. But anyway, if you look in the show description, you'll see some links, some Amazon affiliate links to some places where you can get these ER20 collets. This happens to be a 1/4 inch one. In fact, I've still got my bit in it. I've only had I bought 2 of those My Sweetie kits. So you know how it comes with the pack of all these different collets, but there's really, I mean, it has 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 mil, all these different metric ones, which
I've got my bag of collets right here,
but I don't even use them. So I use the 1/4 inch, and I have 2 1/4 inch because I've bought 2 kits, and then I have 2 1/2 inch, and that's pretty much the only ones I use. There's 1/8 inch also, and I don't use 1/8 inch.
Mine are still shiny.
But I found out that apparently I've had trouble because I use an up spiral bit. Well, I can tell you right now, if you don't get this thing tight and you're using an up spiral bit, it pulls the bit down out of the collet. And the next thing you know, you'll find out you're cutting the whole thickness, which fortunately the Gatton's tough enough to do it, but it's not that I wanted to cut that much at that same speed all at once. But anyway, so then I found out if I really crank on it to get it to where the bit doesn't slip down, and I guess it's because these these collets I've had for like 2 or 3 years now. But I have trouble getting the darn thing out. I tap on it and I don't want to hit it too hard to bend anything up or dull anything on this bit. But yeah, it's a real pain to get the things out. So I have ordered some new ones. Now, if you look at those links down there, if any of you click on them and go over to Amazon and check them out, there was a big price range in 1/4 inch diameter ER20 collets. They had some that were $7.96 each. There was some from still a company I've never heard of that were about $15 each. I think they were $14.96 or something like that. And then you had some made by Amana, however you want to say it, that were about $20 each. They were like $19.99 or something. Well, usually I'm one of those guys that thinks, well, usually get what you pay for. So if you buy something cheap, it's probably going to not be very good. But I decided to go ahead and try the $8 ones because I figured that all the My Sweetie kits are Chinese anyway. So it might be the same, quality of these probably isn't much better. So I will let you know. They're coming tomorrow, as a matter of fact, good old Amazon. But I'll let you know if I have any issues with the $8 ones. But,
yes, the answer is Dave Mack is asking if you can use a muscle chuck on a My Sweetie. Yes, the My Sweetie is an ER20 coarse thread collet. I believe it's 6B. Might be 6A. Well, either way, muscle chuck, the one that's there are 2 collets for the ER20. One is coarse and one is fine. You're looking for the coarse one, and it was either 72 or 102, depending on whether you get it with the T handle and all the other stuff, or just the muscle chuck by itself.
Yeah, Clyde Labani says, can you use some of the metric collets for small drills if close enough in diameter? You could, but you got to make sure you slow the RPMs way down because a drill bit is not meant to do 8,000 RPM.
which is the beautiful thing about the spindle. I mean, you can go down to what 100 RPM if you like.
Yeah. You need. I mean, when I say slow, I mean way slow for a drill.
Yeah. What's a maximum of a drill, like 600, 1800?
Well, yeah, I think
something like that, or
a lot of the cheap drill presses, like you get from Harbor Freight or something, they're going to have a 1/4 horsepower motor that's, I think, 1750 RPM.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then they have the belt things where you can slow it down. And I usually run, I think I've got mine set up. I got a jet drill press, and I think I usually run it about it's about 800 RPM, I think, when I'm drilling. But so yeah, you can use them, but make sure you're going to use it like a drill bit and not try to.
And Jerry's Brown is saying that's the real sweet outcome, or the benefit of using a spindle is the speed. Likewise, there are some people who I haven't tried it yet, but I'd like to, putting a sanding mop on the spindle and trying it out and see how it works. I don't know how the results will be, but I'm kind of curious to find out.
Yeah, Mark says if you take the bit out of the collet as soon as you're done with it, it comes out a lot easier. If I forget, I have a brass rod and a hammer. I don't have trouble getting the bit out of the collet. I have trouble getting the collet out of the spindle. That's where my issue is. That's why I'm buying some new collets to see if, because I hadn't had that trouble. Usually, if it didn't fall out as soon as I loosen it up, I could just take one of the wrenches and find a spot on the shank where I'm not hitting the sharp edge and just tap it and it pop right out. Well, now it's got where if I don't really crank down on these, it tries to pull the bit out. So when I do crank down on it, it stays in, but then I have trouble when I go to change it out, getting the collet out of the spindle. So
just buy a spindle for every bit and just keep it in there and swap out the spindle.
Swap out a spindle. Oh, why didn't I do that?
Genius.
I only have 2 spindles. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, I've had issues with collets sticking in the muscle chuck, and it turned out it was obviously some cheaper collets that weren't precisely the size, but what I found worked real well was it more than anything else, it was rust or dirt or some type of a mixture of the grease and sawdust. That was just plain sap and buildup that was getting in there, and a little bit of acetone and or some alcohol or some thinner.
Yeah, that's probably what I need to do.
And that'll clear it right up.
Stick it up in there and spin it around and make sure.
Yeah, and the good thing is you could spin it at an extremely slow. Another wonderful benefit of the slow speed is, you could spin it out with hopefully not doing any damage to your hand. Stick a Q-tip up there and.
Well, I've used on my collet, because I use some metric bits with my imperial bits, but on my 1/4 inch I had a small nick that I didn't see, and I just used 400 grit sandpaper on it, and then I could feel it, and when I took that out, then that thing just slid up and down really nice. Now the other thing that I use too is it's called Awesome Cleaner, and I think it's from Dollar Tree or Family. I can't remember. But that stuff is such a good cleaner. I just put a little bit in the bottle and drop my bits in there, and man, it cleans them right up.
I've got some stuff that I usually use for my bits. It's from Freud, and it's really made to clean saw blades, but it comes in like a spray bottle. So I usually just set the bits down on a rag and.
Yeah, that pitch cleaner works real well.
Soak them. Although the way I use bits, I go through bits pretty quick. So
yeah. Larry Duggar's asking, has anyone had to replace the bearings on their 2.2 water-cooled spindle? Not I.
I haven't, and I've had mine for Probably longer than most people.
Yeah, I bought mine 4 or
Or at
5
least
months
a
after
while.
you bought yours. Yeah.
So, yeah. Tim says could be a bad nut, not just the collet. Well, I don't have any problem getting the nut loose and off. It's just this will be stuck in the spindle.
And the spindle doesn't the nut itself on a I don't know, I haven't used a collet in so long. I mean anything other than a muscle chuck. When you take off the nut, doesn't it pull the collet down? The collet out of there?
No, see here's the nut. See, it's just like this. If I can keep my fingers out of the way, just like that. And when I take the nut off, this drops down. But this, and I can't hold this up there with one hand, but this fits so snug,
right,
that I can't get it out. It doesn't pop out as easy as it used to. And I probably just need to clean up in here and get that clean. But
yeah.
But I needed some more collets anyway, so I figured. And then when I got on there and looked, I saw those cheap ones, and I thought, well, somebody's got to try them out and see if they're any good. So I bought a couple of them, and we'll see. But yeah, you also get a lot of gunk in the collet sometimes, and I always knock that out. And I haven't taken time to soak these, which probably should do too. In fact, there's some stuff stuck right there I haven't knocked out. But yeah, I'll keep everybody posted on the $8 collets and see if they work pretty good, or if there's some kind of issue with them.
Harry also says his collet tends to stay in the nut of his crest, and that's what's happened. I mean, again, like I said, it's been a while, but the collet, the nut, if I'm not mistaken, of a regular router has the that ring inside it that holds the nut onto it. In fact, you got to actually pry the collet out of the nut. At least that's what I remember from my router days.
Well, my Porter cable has that locking ring on it, so that when you take the nut off, the collet comes out and you pull the bit out. Now on my Hitachi, that's not true.
Ah, okay. I've had all Porter cable, mostly Porter cables or Craftsman most of my life. So yeah, that's all I remember.
Tim DeLine says there should be ears inside of the nut that fit inside the groove of the collet. We're talking Chinese stuff here now, Tim.
Wait a second. I'm pulling out my bag of the because I've got my Sweetie stuff here that I've never used. So let's see. That one has, it has a little bit of a ring there.
I think I see what he's talking about. Of course, I don't have great.
Yeah, there's a little ring. So if hang on, it clicks in, and the collet, when you unscrew the nut from the thing, it should pull the collet down. Obviously, if the collet is jammed in there, good. But so you actually have to see. I have to actually bend it sideways to click it off the little ring.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm like I said, when I loosen my nut after having it cranked down real good, tightened real good, the nut comes down, and this stays up in the spin.
Well, that's why they said, I mean, check your collets and check your nut, because it's very possible that the nut itself, the ring itself, might have worn loose, and that's why they were saying that it might be the nut.
This is from my spare one. I'll swap nuts and see if that because maybe I see what he says now. Maybe it is a bad nut.
Yeah.
That's
see, it doesn't come off with the ring until I force it off sideways.
See, I can't get mine pressed in there. I don't guess I can. Yeah, nah, I can't press down that hard to get it.
Really? Maybe they're not compatible, because I mean this one just it pops right in, and
I'll try this other nut and see if that's what it is. And if if I find out that this one works, then I'll just get a replacement nut.
It's funny. I just noticed
now I got dust all over my desk.
I just noticed on the side of this thing, you've got these 3 little holes here of different lengths, and one on this side for I would assume that's for balancing.
Yeah,
and that's pretty cool. I wouldn't think that, well, that a Chinese product would be so well made.
Yeah. Todd says goes in at an angle. I'm going to end up spending the whole night here sitting here playing with this, trying to get it in.
Oh, it goes in at an angle.
You see, I've never. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, because I always take this and put this in here like this and just stick it up in the spindle and then start tightening.
Well, you could do that too, because when you do that, then this will eventually press against it, and it'll, as it tightens, it'll click into the into the nut.
All right. Do we have any other questions?
Let's see.
We're getting up on 9 o'clock here, guys. So if anybody's got any questions, get them in now.
Edward Henry was asking if anyone uses an all-in-one or a touchscreen computer to run their CNC, and there are a few people answering.
Yeah, I'll use the touchscreen.
He has a spare all-in-one that he says might be good. I would try it.
He says, take the bit out of the collet and it should snap in the nut. Well, yeah, it probably will if I take the bit out. But when you're trying to put a bit in.
Oh, yeah. You had the bit in there?
Yeah.
Oh, no, can't do it that way.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when you're changing your bit.
Yeah, when you're
changing. Is that how everybody else is doing it? Is sticking the bit in after they got it in there?
Yeah. Yeah. You can't put it in with the bit. It'll never close properly.
Okay. Well, see this bit, I have to really, I don't have the tool here. I've got a little T-handled
to pop it out?
Allen wrench that I use to pop it out.
Yeah, because it pops in real easy because it squeezes down past the length of the. Okay, now I understand what's been happening. Yeah.
See, I've always just taken them out like this because a lot of times I'm not even using the same collar.
Oh no. Oh, no wonder they're slipping. No.
Keep this bit in the collet and then get a new collet with a new bit.
No,
stick it in here and then put it on.
What you're actually doing is pressing it using the ring to press against it, which is not enough of a force. There's a difference between the ring pushing up and the whole entire long part of the cone of the collet closing on the bit, and what you're doing, which is putting the bit in first and then having the ring push on the fat part, which doesn't. Try it the other way.
All right, I'll try that if I can get this bit out. But see, that's why a lot of times I take these out like this, because I have to use that tool.
Right.
Because this is in there so hard that you'll cut the hell out of your fingers trying to grab it here on the sharp end and pull it out. So
I hear you.
Okay, so maybe I've been doing it wrong all this time. Yeah, I'm going to end up sticking a screw.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, I don't know if it was mentioned here or not, but for a regular collet, what I end up doing, obviously, when it's in the right place.
So let me ask you this: all these veteran machinists out here they're saying I'm doing it wrong. So what you're telling me is when you have collets lined up and you've got bits in them, to put it in, you're pulling the bit out of the collet and snapping it in the nut, and then putting the bit in. Is that how everybody's doing it?
Personally, I've never had a bit lined up in the collet. If anything, I would buy extra nuts and I would have the bit already clipped into the nut, and then I'd be unscrewing the nut and putting it and the whole nut and collet assembly.
Okay. See, I've never heard of people having extra nuts and extra collets, just extra collets. So
Yeah. I mean, because with the thing is with Porter Cable, they give you 2 nuts and 2 collets, and the collets are different sizes, but the nuts are the same exact size. So I can, but what was I going to say? Oh, it wasn't mentioned here before, but for taking bits out of a collet in a machine, what I like to do is, I mean, so you don't break the bit. If you try to pull it, sometimes it's actually stuck because the collet itself, like you mentioned, is stuck. What I do is I tap the bit, and this is why it's important not to stick the bit all the way in when you first put it in. Tap the bit with obviously with a 2x4 or something. Just give it a little tap up. That will completely loosen the collet, and then you could just take it right out.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like from. Let's see if I'm reading all this right. This show is how to teach days. I can build a damn CNC. I just don't know how to use a damn collet, I guess.
You've never needed more than one bit.
I've been doing it wrong for 3 or 4 years now, I guess. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna try that. That's probably what the problem is, but why this thing keeps getting stuck in there. But yeah, because I've always taken collets, and like I said, that's why I wanted extra collets too, because I keep bits already set in the collet where I don't have to do anything. But I was just grabbing them and sticking them in there, taking a nut, putting over it, and then tightening them up.
I got to tell you, Dave, this show, not for anything, but I have a feeling you're going to get dinged on this show because of all the I've had to click OK on so many of the comments because they have the word nut shank and whatever else in there properly used, but this message is held for review. So just be aware you may be censored by the censors.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, won't be
even when I'm done and I'm trying to take the bit out in the 690, once I start to loosen that nut, I'll feel the little click and then the bit will fall out. I never really actually take my nut totally off. Because
when you start loosening it actually pulls it down and it springs open. Normally. And the only way it gets stuck is the actual bit on the collet, even though the collet is loose from the shaft.
See, Jim's saying tap the side of your nut. See, I've done that too, and it's
Yeah.
We'll quit talking about nuts and taps
and shanks and shafts and all that.
Tapping your nut.
Yeah, and I thought turners were bad.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for the lesson on how to install a bit in a spindle. I guess I've been doing it wrong all this time, but I will again update you on the progress on the new collets now that I know how to do it. So, all righty. We got any other questions other than where we can change the subject on this? My little timer went off, so I know we're about out of time anyway. We'll wrap this one up. Jerry says we could talk about the ball polisher someone made recently. Yeah, somebody made a billiard ball polisher. Barry says now let's talk about using 2 wrenches. I don't think we need to talk about that. If you look on Facebook, Michael Chipster did a video, even did it one-handed because he was holding the camera in one hand and the 2 wrenches in the other one. But yeah, that's one thing I do know how to do. I may not know how to put the collet in there right, but I do know how to get the nut loose without smashing my knuckles because I don't do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Mark Lindsay says I always use 2 wrenches. I hate spindle locks. That's why I went to the muscle chuck. But I got to tell you, whenever there are 1 or 2 routers I still have that have the lock on it, and I think they're probably going to go in the garbage as soon as the brushes wear out, because they actually have the a broken spindle lock. You know, that lever you push is broken, and only 1 wrench, because there is no other wrench there. It's meant for a spindle lock and only 1 wrench. It's just they're a Sears brand.
yeah. John's got a question here. Apparently, he's late to the party. The Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge begins officially on Black Friday, which this year is November 29th, and ends at midnight or 11:59 p.m. on Christmas Eve. That's when you have to have your entry into me. And then we will be announcing the winners whatever the first Saturday is in January. I've got it listed on the website there. But that's why I've been talking about it the last 2 or 3 weeks, is because since Black Friday this year falls on the 29th, you know, a lot of times it's in, because of the 4 Thursdays sometimes falls around the 22nd or something like that. You've got less, you know, you got about a week less to work on it this year than you might have had last year. I don't remember how it fell. Well, if November 1st was on a Friday this year, so it was probably on a Thursday, which probably made the 4th Thursday of the 22nd last year. So you had an extra week. But anyhow, yeah, get out there in your shop and get busy making one and get it to me. All right, I don't see any other questions.
Yep.
Everybody says use a muscle chuck. Yeah, I've got one of those, but it's not for the spindle. I've got one for a 690.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even use the 690 anymore. I do use the DeWalt 611, and I know Mark said he didn't like the little you know, using 1 wrench and with that little lock button. But you have to use that on a 611 because that's all there is. Doesn't have anything else. All right. Well, I guess we're going to wrap this up. We've had a pretty good crowd over here tonight. It says according to this, we've got 7 folks over there on Facebook. I've only seen 1 or 2 comments. They must be quiet. John was on Facebook. I think I saw Joe Liddon over there on Facebook. And everybody else is over here on the
Jim Rockwell, Steve Carmichael is over there.
Oh, Steve Carmichael. I didn't even see him.
Art Day, Hitch, David Jones, even though he's in both places. Jim Chira.
Okay. I didn't see Hitch over there. Today's his birthday.
Yes, it is. That's right.
Happy birthday, Hitch. Hope you had a good one. He said he sent a picture or posted a picture of his birthday cake. He's got a big cake shaped like a guitar.
Robert Brooks was also over there.
Okay.
Yeah, a few others.
All right, good. Well, guys, I guess we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks, everybody. I'm trying to get a guest to come on here and show some techniques and stuff, but they're going to be out of town on vacation, so it may be a few weeks before I get them on. If anybody else wants to come on as a guest and show off a project that they've done and you know, talk about the technique you use, or you know, share any secrets that you don't mind sharing with us, just let me know. I'd love to have you come on and do it, so we don't although I don't mind these Q&As, you know, we get lots of good questions. So yeah, there's old Hitch. I didn't see him earlier. Happy birthday, buddy. Yeah. I need to have a guest on here show how to use a collet. Okay. Are you volunteering there, Todd? You can come on in and show me how to use one.
There you
go. I'm really not that stupid. Now that I've been told, I probably do it right. I've never done it that way. I always just shove it up in there, and as I tighten this, it gets in there, but it doesn't pop back off. So we'll get it all figured out. Yeah, I would love to have somebody come on here that's done a diamond drag bit deal. Mr. Senicola, if you'd like to share your knowledge on that. Not tonight, because we're going to wrap this one up, but another night we can.
Yeah, sure. I could do the pen too. I also made a vinyl cutter too. So I have a vinyl cutter, and I also have the pen plotter, and I can do the drag bit.
Oh, sweet. Well,
speaking of drag bits, I don't know if you're interested, but I've got the other machine, which is also a CNC, the engraver, that does drag bit and rotary. I could always show that off and for a show in the future.
All right.
That's more on the engraving side, but anything that one can do to a lesser degree, a CNC router can do.
Yeah. Well, we probably have a lot more questions about how a CNC can do it than just a separate machine. But all right, well, we're going to wrap this one up. Mike, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope all's going well up there in Freehold.
Oh yeah.
And come back anytime. Hobby, thank you for joining me, and Jim, thanks for volunteering for the show. And we will see you guys all next week, I think. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Appreciate it. And everybody have a great weekend. See you later.